if you go for the trek, you will find almost 1700 skeletons lying around. But the bones do not, verify that they were humans. Just because they were too long, the femur bone was too long as compared to the average human that lives right now. So there are a lot of mysteries. Some of them are mythological. Again, coming back to the part why Roopkund is banned, it's like
From Unboxing Stories, this is Himalayan Diaries. I'm your host, Ojas. Never stop exploring. Life is about the adventures you take and the memories you make. So travel where your heart leads you and live in the moment. Is a quote by Janet Corrin. Today's guest Devang embodies this spirit perfectly. A versatile explorer who has ventured into podcasting, running, and the corporate world, and most passionately, trekking. Devang joins us to share his journey. Let's hear from Devang on how he navigates both the mountain trails and the paths of his life. Welcome, Devang, and thank you for joining Himalayan Diaries.
hello, just how are you? Very formal. matlab, I got overwhelmed by the introduction. I hope 50% of it is true. But yeah, the Himalayas have taught me a lot, and the way they have carved me always makes me happy. Just because the way I see myself some years ago, is not the Devang that I am right now, and that is all by the grace of Himalayas. So yeah, always grateful to the mountains.
Mhm. I want to start with this very point that you mentioned. What is trekking for you? What does it stand for?
Trekking is transformation for me. The first thing which why I started trekking, first of all, that is where the story begins. So my born and brought up was from a family where there was all freedom for all kinds of exploration. So I have been a basketball player, a national level basketball player. I've also played states in skating and all the sports that one can think of. So I have been thrown into those sports and things like that. So I was very dicey when there was my 10th SSC boards. It was like I have to do this, I have to do that, and always used to do many things at the same time. So that was when one of my elder brother registered for a trek. कि यार तू बहुत इधर उधर होता है, you should find stability. It's high time that you find a sport and you stick to it. और उन्होंने सिर्फ ट्रैकिंग मेरे को इसलिए सजेस्ट किया था कि आई फाइंड माई पैशन, कि मैं इतनी सारी जो चीजें कर रहा था उसमें से कोई एक पकड़ूं. बट आई एंडेड अप लविंग ट्रैकिंग सो मच दैट मैंने ट्रैकिंग को ही पकड़ लिया. सो इट हैज बीन लाइक 6-7 years into the mountains, and genuinely I love it, loving how the mountains have carved me. And yeah, that was it. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. Amazing. You mentioned growing up, you were playing sports and up bahar, you were a most outdoor person. That's why the
Yes.
transition must have been not very drastic for you, right? How do you remember that first trek?
This I would disagree. Like the changes were very drastically when it came to trekking. क्योंकि
Mm-hmm.
है ना, हर every sport that I used to play was about physical growth. दौड़ रहे हैं, you are running for kilometers, you are practicing, your muscles are growing, but none of them gave me the satisfaction कि यार I'm developing as a person. If I don't play basketball or any other sport, so it doesn't embark any personal traits in me कि हाँ यार basketball छोड़ दिया, so it doesn't change you as a person. But when it came to trekking, it taught me so many life lessons that even stick to me right now. So that is one thing I like in trekking, that not only your physical growth, but your spiritual growth is something which goes, you get a higher level of clarity. First thing, you, the second value that I got to know just after my first trek, that as a brat, I'll say, I'll, I used to take things for granted. And just after the first trek, I was like, for every second thing, I was grateful. And that feeling at such a young age when I was in 10th was very important to begin with, I'll speak. So yeah, that was the major difference, that how trekking as a sport was too different for me,
Mm-hmm.
and why I was sticking with the sport for so long.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think in most of the sports, competitive sports, you play to win. You are competing with someone else. But when it comes to trekking,
Exactly.
it's more of a group activity. And even if you go on a solo trip or with bunch of your friends, it is never about who goes to the summit first. It's about enjoying the process, enjoying the journey, and then enjoying the views together.
Exactly. In the mountains, you cannot survive alone. It means the time you think I am everything, or the time you think, यार मैं कर लूंगा, मैं experienced हूँ, the time is where your downfall starts.
Mhm.
I've seen means as trek leading sometime before, and I've seen people who are with all of these physics have this attitude, अरे यार बच्चों का खेल है, but I've seen them crying. So that makes me question actually, कि we humans think of us as men much more powerful, and the nature teaches at the same time that boss, you need to grow, so just be on the ground.
Yeah.
The spiritual growth and ये जो competitive इतना world grow हो रहा है ना, तो
Hmm.
it like much needed कि take a step back and look at the world. You'll understand कि living a slow life is as important as living the fast paced life.
Yes. And I think जो जब हम किसी ट्रैक पे जाते हैं तो it's like we are becoming Homo sapiens again. In going in that time,
Yeah.
you just need minimum things. You need food, you need water, you need shelter. That's it. And I think that connect is very strong with, I don't know, genes or kya, I don't know.
I'll, I'll tell you one thing. जब मेरी first trek which I did was
Mhm.
not a trek. मेरे भैया ने मेरे को register किया, and I had this bunch of 9 friends, and those people joined me. And when I say friends, they have been with me throughout my ninth and 10th standard, and good friends. And on the trek, something happened. Ki there was this other group, and I vibed with them so much. That was my first trek. Till date, I'm not in contact with the friends that I got with them. जो जलगांव से मेरे साथ निकले थे उनके साथ आज तक कांटेक्ट में नहीं हो, लेकिन जो लोग ट्रैक पे मिले थे ना,
Hmm.
वो लोग इतने कांटेक्ट में हैं आज भी. सो या द पीपल आर नाइस. इट इज क्वाइट, हाउ डू आई एक्सप्लेन, आई मतलब अलग ही फीलिंग है जो दोस्त ट्रैक्स पे बनते हैं. दोज आर द मोस्ट रियल वंस आई फील.
Yeah. मैंने ये इसी पॉडकास्ट में ही किसी ने कहा था कि ट्रेकिंग brings out the true self of people because you are truly vulnerable. You don't know what's going to happen. You have to मतलब ट्रू कलर्स बाहर आ जाते हैं ट्रैक्स पे.
तुम वहां पर नहीं बोल सकते ना यार, मैं तो इतना इतना महान हूँ, मेरे को डर नहीं लगता, क्योंकि एट एवरी मोमेंट यू नो, इफ समथिंग हैपेंस, इफ द वेदर गोज डाउन, यू विल हैव टू गिव अप. सो यू कैन नॉट बी ऑल दिस फेक दैट यू आर इन द सिटीज.
Yes. We have this segment called Trek Walkthrough. So you have to choose a favorite trek from Himalayas and give a walkthrough of that trek. Imagine that people close their eyes and listen to you. They should experience the whole trek.
Without that, Rob, this is the hardest question that I can ever receive, which is the best trek. क्योंकि the love for trekking is, of course, you would relate to it कि it gets quite, you think of यार ये वाली ट्रैक में ये है तो ये वाली ट्रैक में ये है. It has like pros, cons. So, okay, but it will be always Roopkund. Like how much ever treks I have completed, Roopkund will be the best one.
Hmm.
So I'll keep it very short, the walkthrough, क्योंकि बहुत टाइम हो गया मेरे को भी किया हुआ है. I don't remember it currently, तो बैन ही हो गया है. So you begin your day one with arriving at Lohajang, which is the base camp, and then you start your the first day is pretty easy. What you do is Lohajang village से ही you थोड़ा descend करते हो for 2 or 3 kilometers, and then you ascend. You reach to your first campsite, which is very easy as per day one. Then comes the day two. ये जो रूपकुंड ट्रैक है, इसके मेजर जो हाइलाइट्स है, दैट इज पाथल नाचनी कैंप साइट, विच इज माय फेवरेट कैंप साइट. एंड देन comes the best Ali Bedni meadows, which offers you the best views of the Himalayas, which is like जितने भी बड़े mountains है, mountain ranges है that are present in India, you see them through Ali Bedni Bugyal. Then you go, and then is your day four of the summit. The summit is filled with surprises. The summit, when I say it, when I did the trek, what happened was it was completely पूरा जो area है that was green. the evening before we actually attempted the summit, it was entirely green. The हमारा जो plan था that was summiting around 2 o'clock at the night. When we wake up at 2 o'clock, we don't see a piece of greenery. इतना heavy snowfall हुआ था, everything was covered in the snow.
Wow.
And then you go to the first rest point, which is your Parvati Mata ka temple है उधर and Ganesh temple.
Mhm.
And from that point starts the ridge walk and the actual summit of Roopkund. Like heavy winds blowing, you won't even understand. Your nose will go freezing cold in that at that point. And then you reach to a point where you see a little river which is frozen, a lake which is frozen, and damn, what a beautiful sight to visit. And from the time that you see that lake, it requires you almost another 1.5 hour to reach to that lake at
Hmm.
a constant pace. And once you reach from there, you see at almost 80 to 90 degrees above, and you will see the another mountain which is Trishul. I I may be wrong, but there is no other trek which can give you such a closer look to any of the 6,500-meter mountain above.
Wow.
So it was quite magnificent. तुम इतना चढ़े हो for 5 days and you go to Roopkund, you witness that beauty. You raise your head up and you see, yeah, I haven't done anything. Like there is a mountain standing so tall right in front of me. So that is the moment when you will realize that you're not even the smallest particle in the universe.
Hmm.
That is that feeling that you get at that time. So yeah, that was it describing me the most beautiful trek that I have done.
Wow. That was amazing. And
Yeah.
I'm getting excited to go for this trek, but you mentioned that it is banned, and I've read a lot of stories around Roopkund, and there are some stories that there are a lot of dead bodies in that kund, and there are a lot of skeletons, and that's why it is banned. Or some people say it's not banned, but only some campsites are not allowed. So what is the whole situation?
So firstly, yeah, Roopkund only मतलब Roopkund the mysterious lake is the true name of Roopkund. So you will almost if you go for the trek, you will find almost 1,700 skeletons lying around, which cannot be which are resemblance to humans, but the bones do not verify that they were humans just because they were too long. The femur bone was too long as compared to the average human that lives right now. So there are a lot of mysteries. Some of them are mythological. And again, coming back to the part why Roopkund is banned, it's like Roopkund is not banned. I'll again say this. लेकिन जो उसकी campsites है,
Hmm.
जो final campsite है पाथिल नाचनी, that is banned. So Roopkund being a tough trek in itself, what happens is आप वो ट्रैक स्किप करके सबमिट नहीं कर सकते. You have to stop at Pathil Nathing, but camping is not allowed at Pathil Nathing. So in case you have to complete the entire trek, you have to skip a campsite. You have to do almost 11 hours of trek. Plus you have to get back.
Mhm.
Plus, the weather in mountains changes after 12 or 2 o'clock. So our major attempt is that we reach to the campsite, attempting the summit back by anyhow the time should be 2 o'clock max. But this in case रूपकुंड जो रीजन में है उधर का वेदर इज सबसे बड़ा इशू. सेकेंडली यू कैन नॉट स्किप. इट रिक्वायर्स next level of physical abilities to complete Roopkund. Of course, now also people do Roopkund, but those are only the experienced ones. So yeah, there have been a lot of trekking organizations who have been claiming Roopkund trek, but they don't assure any of the summit experiences. They are
Hmm.
like अगले 10 घंटे में आप कर सकते हो तो कर लो. We will come with you. But if you, of course, coming to the turnaround time, if you don't reach to the Parvati Ma's temple around morning 6 o'clock, then we are not going to the summit, which is
Hmm.
technically which is technically very hard. So not everyone makes it to the summit. But I remember this one thing regarding this temple that we were also So basically, when we stopped at this temple, all of us being our first trek and experiencing a weather of -7 degrees for the very first time, we were freezing cold. Okay, like
Mhm.
legit, we were surprised. I don't know if explicit language is allowed over here,
नहीं
लेकिन
नहीं
हम सबकी फट गई थी कि जब हम उधर थे ना, इतनी ठंडी किसी ने नहीं देखी. प्लस देयर वाज fresh snowfall a night ago, so cold winds were blowing, and all of us were at the age of 16, 17, so not very experienced, not very grown ups. So everyone was like harsh scared. And then we do our trek leader Abhishek sir, उन्होंने आरती लाई थी, and he did that आरती at that temple. That moment is still embarked in me कि जो जो warmth वो आरती ने दी थी ना, for the next 2 hours we did not feel cold. For the next 2 hours we did not feel cold. So
wow
that is like that energy I haven't like felt any time before.
like
And it was
goosebumps
just a aarti, yaar. I'm not, yeah,
I got
and
goosebumps just listening to this.
yeah. So it was very one of the highlights आज तक जितनी treks की हुई है ना, is
Hmm.
that आरती. Because
Wow.
इतने ठंडी में the temperature is same and you're feeling the warmth inside for like 2 hours. It it was beautiful.
Amazing. You mentioned trek leading, and I want to ask about that as well. That you transitioned into trek leading, you became a assistant trek leader and a trek leader. How was that shift, and how was that first experience of leading a trek from being a trekker to a trek leader?
So firstly, I completed 16 of my Himalayan treks before even, getting into this. I had like 10 Himalayan treks and others exploring in the Sahyadri. So I've completed good enough of treks. I did my BMC course. So
Mhm.
BMC course में what happened? There were like 4 trek leaders with whom I vibed, and उनका ही group था, हमारा जो group था ना. And so they were like, if you love this, you should really try trek leading. And speaking of the fact, जब मैंने ये घर पे pitch in किया, they were like, देखो ट्रैकिंग करने के लिए भी पैसे मिलेंगे क्या, क्योंकि इट्स वेरी न्यू.
Hmm.
Firstly, trekking in itself is a sport which is very underrated. People don't know, and even if they know, they don't take it as a sport. They take it
Hmm.
as कि हाँ, it is something recreational. It is not considered as sport. So first the reaction was of family कि will they pay you? How is it? Do they really pay? Are you saying truth? Then I like register कर देते हैं, and we'll see if we get shortlisted. So I just completed my BMC in 2022, and I registered for this post. And gratefully, like after a year, usually India, the organization I was in, doesn't do it. They reply within 3 days, 5 days. But weirdly, I got a reply 1 month, 1 year after I applied. So that was quite strange. And उसकी भी story ऐसी है कि one of my friend gifted me this Himalayan dagger. There was a phase in my life जहाँ पर कुछ सही नहीं जा रहा था, ऐसा लग रहा था. He gave me that कि it kills negativity. And the very second day, I get this mail by India X कि you're shortlisted, you can come to Bangalore. So for the organization India X जिसमें मैं था, उसमें to become a trek leader there are phases. So the first 3 months you be a assistant trek leader, जहाँ पर आपको फर्स्ट मंथ में मेडिकल ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है, सॉफ्ट स्पोकन ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है. देर आर सम ऑफ द एक्टिविटीज, क्योंकि व्हेन आई डिड माय फर्स्ट ट्रैक आई डिड नॉट नो एंड आई डिड नॉट कनेक्ट विद नेचर. आई डिड इट विद अ लोकल ऑर्गेनाइजर. सो वो जो एक होता है ना कनेक्ट टू नेचर, डूइंग इट इन अ वे कि इट हैपेंस नेचुरली. आउटडोर एजुकेशन जो है कंसेप्ट, they focus a lot on it, and it is much necessary क्योंकि sometimes you come with a mindset of just enjoying कि मेरे को कुछ नेचर की इंपॉर्टेंस नहीं है. बट when this whole process is combined in a way जहाँ पर मजा भी हो रहा है, and you're at the same time getting connected to nature, changes you as a person. तो
Hmm.
ये सब की ट्रेनिंग पहले 2-3 महीने होती है. knowing the organization, knowing how trekking can transform life. So पहले 3 महीने were of that. In the second month, we were leading treks with another trek leader as a assistant trek leader. We were seeing how this uh, sport has some risks and how they have to be dealt with.
Hmm.
So everything has a risk. The only thing has how risk management कैसे कर रहे हो.
Hmm.
तो वो सब हम एक्सपीरियंस ट्रैक लीडर से सेकंड मंथ में सीखते हैं. And third month is where we are tested. हमें खुद पे ट्रैक्स दी जाती है and the experienced trek leaders are shadowing us. They will not say anything. They'll
Mhm.
just be seeing how Devang is doing and what are the ways he can improve as a trek leader.
Mhm.
So after this 3 months of training, then we get the trek leader's cap or the trek leader's designation. So yeah, but trek leading in a is a task. As in, people think it as a very fancy job, but I must break the myth that the amount of physical and emotional pressure that is present on the trek leader is something you cannot imagine,
Mhm.
because it's not like a corporate job where you're dealing with files and गलती हो गई presentation में तो improve हो सकती है. You're dealing with people's life.
True.
If you're giving one medication wrong, if you're not taking a proper call at the proper time, then boss, there are things that you have not even imagined of. Because you are leading a group of 20 people. And if you take a call for one person which goes wrong, the result of it has to be, you know, distributed amongst all the 20 of them.
True.
So yeah, I've got a lot of patience after being a trek leader, I'll say. Because there are different types of trek leaders. Yeah, trekkers also, trek leaders also. Way of trekkers are like comes with a lot. How do I say it in
Expectation.
very good words? Yeah, they come with a different set of expectations, and to bring them on same page is a task in itself.
Mhm. So, do you remember the first trek as a trek leader?
First trek as a trek leader, I very well remember it. So there was my first trek when I was trek leading. There was no experienced leader who was shadowing me, just because there were short of trek leaders and he had to lead another trek. So I was the happiest person कि यार कोई pressure नहीं है leading the first treks. And even there was one of my sloop manager Naresh sir who was there with me throughout, and he was like Devang हो जाएगा टेंशन मत ले, क्योंकि I there was a pressure on me that someone is shadowing me till a day before. And I was thinking so much, ये कैसे होगा वो कैसे होगा, इतने लोगों की responsibility, इतने लोगों के नाम याद करने पड़ते हैं. So there was a lot of pressure. But when the trekkers arrived, it was like all of it vanished. There was this small guy known as Om Barodia. He was somewhat 8 years old and he was trekking with me on my first trek.
Mhm.
And it was Kedar Kantha. Everyone was scaring me. यार 8 साल का है, तुझसे हो पाएगा क्या? This is your first trek. We'll see if we can do something. And I was like, sir, let me do it. If anything happens, it's on me and I'll coordinate with the team if anything goes out of control. Even कोई suggestion चाहिए, I'll take you in the loop. And I took that call. That guy who was like 8 years old, completed his trek, was crying every day, 7 in the morning. I used to take him in my tent. I used to, play with him. The entire summit of Kedar Kanta, he was holding my hand. He went to the summit, and more than his mom was happy, I was the happiest person. And that is when I was, voice messaging my team, ho gaya, completed my first trek. So first trek was very special to me. And it was one of the best. Matlab, even after the treks that I have led, after 7 treks that I led, वो group इतना अच्छा नहीं गया था जितना मेरा first trek गया था. So that is something which is quite memorable for me.
Mhm. And what a trek to have as Kedar Kanta, which is again not just the beauty but also the spiritual aspect of the place where you reach.
So the most, in this aspect, the best trek I would say is Devratal Chandrashila. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, the trek is like it tests you physically also on the summit day. Then, of course, it has the biggest highlight, that is Tungnath Mandir, the highest Shiva Mandir.
Mm-hmm.
The entire way that you go to Tungnath is completely filled with black ice. तो वो जो टेक्निकल एस्पेक्ट है ड्यूरिंग, especially during the time that I was leading trek, it
Mm-hmm.
was completely filled with black ice. So the technical amount required by trek leaders, trekkers don't face it, of course, क्योंकि we make the way for trek leaders. There are technical guides who help us out. तो ट्रैकर्स के लिए उतना टेक्निकली हार्ड नहीं होता है. But
Mm.
for trek leaders who are already there and guides, it becomes quite technical also, but it's good. That challenge of taking 20 people on the trek on the summit day. So usually we start our summit day around 2 in the morning. We reach to Chopta का जो route है, वहां
Mm.
पर we reach somewhere around 4, and that is when the real trek begins.
Mm.
And I'll say you one this aspect that I always used to give in the briefing of Devratal Chandrashila, कि after you reach Tungnath Mandir, you think that there is this mountain that you have to climb, which is very near. You climb, you think it's like half an hour, but it's like a loop. You take 1.5 hour to 2 hours, and it tests you mentally so much. कि
Mm.
यार अभी ये पहाड़ था, I went to the top of this mountain, and then there are two heaps of mountains more that you have to climb. And Tungnath is here, right here, and you think, yeah, we have to go here. So that tests you mentally too much. So I've seen like 40 years old saying, यार अभी तो दिख रहा था, अभी कहाँ गया? So it's very good. Plus the sunrise from there is like beautiful, magnificent.
Mhm.
You see Pangarchula, you see most of the Himalayan ranges, and only one of the treks which I have led gives you a 360-degree view. Some
Mhm.
of the mountain peaks are blocked, but this trek offers you a 360-degree views of all the mighty Himalayan mountains.
Mhm. Coming from Himalayan mountains to the Sahyadris, and I'm sure you have explored Sahyadris all around the Sahyadris because you're from Maharashtra and you are passionate about trekking. How has
Again,
that
I'll like
experience been, and how did it start, the love affair with Sahyadris, and how is it going?
so it began with the love of Himalayas. I did my first trek in life. That was Himalayan trek.
Okay.
That to Roopkund. That to Roopkund. Okay. So वहां से I came back. I started doing Sahyadri treks, and there is this thing that I was saying whenever I am in Himalayas. Whenever I'm in the Himalayas, I miss the Sahyadris. And when I'm in the Sahyadris, I'm like, take me to Himalayas. So it's like a loop. कभी खत्म नहीं होने वाला है वो कि which
Hmm.
one I love more. But of course, Sahyadris have the best treks that one can have, and it's a training ground for everyone who prepares for high altitude trekking. I've done quite a few. Not like you were mentioning, I've not completed the entire Sahyadris range. लेकिन जो कुछ एकदम पॉपुलर ट्रैक्स है सह्याद्रीज में लाइक कलसूबाई हो गया, हरिश्चंद्रगढ़ हो गया, हरिहर हो गया, ये सब जो ये सब जो ट्रैक्स है ये बहुत बार कर चुका हूँ. कलसूबाई आई विल से आई हैव डन लाइक 15 to 20 times, and all the times that I've done it, it always fascinates me क्योंकि हमेशा अलग वेदर होता है, अलग
Hmm.
क्लाइमेट होता है. एंड that is the beauty of trekking. Whenever I used to do treks repetitively, it never bores you क्योंकि हमेशा वेदर चेंज हो रहा है, हमेशा देयर इज दिस सरप्राइज एलिमेंट व्हिच इज देयर. So that is in the Sahyadris also. I'll get some backlash when I say this, but Sahyadris are a backup for me. My preference is towards the Himalayas. जब वो accessible नहीं होते तो Sahyadris explore
Hmm.
करने का try करता हूँ. But of course, one of the toughest treks that I have completed in Sahyadris is AMK. Again, rigorous. It tests you physically, plus completely different weather as
Hmm.
compared to Himalayas. Pura garmi, you will get soaked in your own sweat for like hours. But of course, when you're thinking of doing a Himalayan trek or when you have Himalayan experience, you should surely try AMK because it will make you respect Sahyadris more. And
Hmm.
even one of almost all of the Maharashtrian mountaineers don't go to Himalayas for preparing to Everest or any of the major expedition.
Yeah.
They go to any of the trek and do that repetitively. I've
Hmm.
learned this from one of the mountaineer who is Parth Upadhyay. He has this one trek which is Garbet Plateau. It is not a tough trek, but that guy almost runs on that mountain and does everything over there, lives in that little village for like months, and then he goes to the Himalayas to test himself.
Wow.
So yeah, that is the Sahyadris. The beauty of it is like amazing.
And which is your favorite trek from Sahyadris?
From Sahyadris, it will be Harish Chandragarh
Mhm. Which
and AMK.
which route of Harishchandragarh? Because Harishchandragarh has several uh,
The tougher one, वो जो
tougher one.
कोंकण कड़ा वाली side है, वो वाली.
Yeah,
Half of the people don't know it. Half of the people who do Harish Chandragarh, there are so many organizations in Maharashtra right now that they don't know that Harish Chandragarh has another route that they can choose.
yeah.
And even almost the experienced ones don't choose that route.
Mhm. I've been to Harishchandragarh with the shortest route, and we stayed on the top, but when it was like because it's the shortest route, there are so many people. It's very crowded. The camping site is very crowded at night.
One of the trek that I have to do in Sahyadri is मतलब मेरे major checklist में last 2 years से है. That is लिंगाना. आपने अगर सुना होगा तो.
Hmm.
So that is like technical and very rarely people do that. So I have that thing, that one thing that I have to complete.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this brings us to the end of another chapter from Himalayan Diaries. We will meet Devang again in some other chapter from Himalayan Diaries. But until then, you can follow him on Instagram. The link is in the description. Thanks for joining us on Himalayan Diaries from Unboxing Stories. I'm your host Ojas. Together with Shivam Hasurkar, we are the creators of Unboxing Stories. Remember, every step in the mountains tells a story, and we are here to bring them to you. If you are inspired to start your own trekking adventure, please remember that these are not just leisure activities, but true adventure sports. It's crucial to learn, prepare, and take all necessary safety measures before embarking on your journey. Your safety is as important as your adventure. If you have enjoyed this episode, do share it with your friends and family. Please make sure to follow us and leave a review on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast. Tune in next time as we continue to unbox more stories from the Himalayan Diaries. Until then, keep moving forward.